ago, the controversial anti-terror bill now in the hands of Malacanang.
Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has signed an anti-terrorism bill into law.
Ganap ng ambatan itong isinusulong na bill.
What can we expect now that this anti-terrorism bill has been signed into law?
In the summer of 2020, while the entire Philippines was on quarantine lockdown caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, ipinasa ng Kongreso ang tinatawag na Anti-Terror Bill, which has now been signed into law by the President last July 3 of 2020 amidst a crisis. Hati ang reaksyon ng taong bayan sa pagpasa ng batas na ito. Pero bakit nga ba naging ganito ang reaksyon ng mga tao?
Why is the anti-terror law feared? It is needed to secure the country from terrorists, or it will suppress freedom of expression. Let's unfold and understand. Ayuda ang aming kailangan sa panahon ng pandemya, hindi terror law. Jump, terror law.
Ang isang diktador na namamalaan ng legal sa Malacanang.
Jump, terror law. Makibaka, wag matakot. Even the deadly coronavirus could stop them from going to the Supreme Court, from lawyers, lawmakers, journalists, artists, and even social media personalities. They're after the same thing. Junk, the anti-terrorism law.
Klaro ang target ng terror law. Ang target ng terror law, ang mga aktivista at mga perceived dissenters. Part ito ng anti-terror law implementation nila.
Republic Act No. 11479 or Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020 took effect in July. 6 months after the High Court will hear for the first time the consolidated 37 petitions, 21 issues will be argued. Among the controversial provisions, the justices want to discuss Section 4, expanding the definition of terrorism. Petitioners fear that advocacy protests and center mass action may be considered acts of terrorism, but the government says is not intended to restrain political rights, especially the freedom of speech, expression, and of the press. Petitioners also question Section 25, giving Superbody Anti-Terrorism Council with vast powers to designate a person or a group as terrorist. They argue this allows law enforcers to bypass courts. The government doesn't think so. Designation, it explains, serves only as a preventive measure to freeze the bank account to stop accessing funds that can be used to carry out a terrorist attack. Petitioner says it's grossly ironic that in times of emergency, the Constitution only allows a 3-day detention, but during ordinary times under Section 29, a person can be locked up for as long as 24 days. The government points out there is nothing in the Constitution that prohibits a period of detention longer than 3 days.
Panindigan! Jump, terror law! Laban! Jump, terror law! Huwag magpatakot!
What can you suggest, ma'am, to resolve the issues concerning the anti-terror law? The problem here, kasi ma'am, is that there is still a very broad definition of terrorism under this law. Something that hasn't changed despite updating the law from 2007, which they said also had vague definitions. Yung pag-define mo ng terrorism should be narrow enough so as to safeguard our political and civil liberties. And at the same time, it should be broad enough to serve its purpose. Because if it is too narrow, then there is a chance that no one gets caught. Pero pag sobrang namang broad niya, lahat na lang tayo makukulong kasi lahat ng gawin natin mali. So we really have a dilemma in striking a proper balance between the two forces. The most important thing to do right now is to remain vigilant and to continue to fight
for the rights assured to us by the Constitution. Now more than ever, we need to speak up for our democracy, for our country, and for future generations.
Why should care about the anti-terrorism law? Petitioners warn the law grants authorities too much power without the necessary safeguards. It's possible they point out this will be used to target not just terrorists, but also ordinary citizens, especially critics. This, they say, creates a chilling effect. So Mr. General Jose Calida appeals to the public, the government should not be perceived as an enemy. It's now up to the so-called gods of Padre Faura to save or kill the anti-terrorism law. Nicole Montenegro, MMDA Philippines.